What's great about this unit is that the resources we need are already part of Scratch, so we don't have to spend a lot of time actually drawing them and making them ourselves. Obviously, if you want to change the context, then you can look at the resources that are available, or we can, get, or pupils can make their own resources if they wish to. So we're just going to change the background now to one which is underwater rather than the XY grid. So background is this stage here. So I'm now going to select stage. So I've now got a rectangle around stage. And if I now click on backgrounds, I've got a blank background, which I actually don't need, and I've got the XY grid, which I don't need. So before I delete those, I'm just going to import a background which already exists, which I know exists. So this is just the backgrounds folder of Scratch, and within nature, if we scroll down, there is actually a background for underwater. So we just say OK, and that background appears. Now I'm just going to delete these other two backgrounds, and the reason I'm deleting these is because we're going to use this underwater background and animate that. So at the moment, if I just I can just run this, and so this will be quite good because my lobster is now appearing in the appropriate background. So this kind of makes a bit more sense than the XY grid, but that was necessary for us to place the creature that we were designing. And so if I just stop this running, so the way we're going to animate the background is very much like we animated the eyes of the lobster. We're just going to use some tricks in Paint. So I'm going to, at the moment I haven't got any scripts or code associated with the stage, and all I've got is the one background. So I'm going to take a copy of this, and then I'm going to edit the second copy. And what I'm going to do to show movement in this, because it is an underwater scene, and not all contexts will need the background animating, but in this event it does need some kind of movement to show that the water is kind of moving. I'm going to use this select tool to select a range of bubbles here. So I'm just going to go all the way down to the bubbles, and then this changes into a hand tool, and I'm going to just make these bubbles move upwards. So that's all that's happening, is I'm making those bubbles move upwards. This now leaves a transparent background here, which I now need to fill with the same blue color. So if I choose the eyedropper tool to pick this blue, so that's the color that I've chosen at the moment, and then if I use the bucket tool, I will fill it with the same color. And I could also then use the eyedropper tool to pick one of the bubbles here, let's say, and then use this circle to just create a bubble in the space that I've created. So we can just put those bubbles in. So once again, how I did that, this is a copy of the background, and I'm just using the selection tool to highlight the bubbles. I'm just going to move these bubbles up, or to the side maybe slightly. And then I'm going to use the eyedropper tool to pick this blue background, because I want all of this to be filled in blue, and then choose the bucket tool to fill everything with the blue color of the background, and then choose the eyedropper tool again to choose the color of the bubbles that are given in the background, and then maybe draw in an extra bubble here, or maybe there's an extra bubble coming out from here. And then okay, so now because you have two copies of the background, one with the bubbles obviously in one state and one with the bubbles going up, it will look as if it's animating. So this set of bubbles I haven't moved, and the way we animate those now is under scripts within control. So we want everything to start when the green flag is clicked, and remember the lobster starts moving when the green flag is clicked too. And under looks, all we want the background to do is we want to maybe start off with a particular background. So let's start off with Underworld 1. So let's have a look at our background. So we've got one called Underwater, and then we've got one called Underwater 1. It's just renamed it for us. We could rename those if we wanted, but I'll just keep it as that. So in scripts, let's just start with the very first background we have. And then normally with pupils, I'd get them to put in the next background here. Switch to, let's say, Underwater 1 background, and then run this and see what happens. And what they'll notice is that actually maybe there's a bit of flashing on the screen, or everything just happens so quickly that you can't see the changes in the background. So what we need to do is, again, and this is just kind of experimenting and finding out what happens when you run commands. If I now put a wait in, so we wait a couple of seconds, or maybe wait 1 second between the background changes, then what we'll see is we'll see the background changes happening, and then it'll wait a second and then the background will change again. Just make sure I've got the right background selected here. Oh, and again, with experimenting, what's happening is right at the beginning, this switches background and then it waits, and then switches background and waits again, and then it just stops because it hasn't got anything else to do. So very much like our sprite here, the instructions we gave for it, the forever instructions, we need to do a similar thing with the stage. So if I pick up a forever block and put it around, and remember these wait times we've got and the background changes we've got are all about making our whole animation fit for purpose. So right at the beginning we identified that it should be a relaxing, calming, interesting type experience. So that's what we're doing with the background here. And as you can see, only these two bubbles are animated, and you can see that I should have added some more bubbles at the top, or maybe had a third background actually, which made it kind of look even better animated. And this isn't animated, so that doesn't fit in with the rest of the scene. So there's quite a few changes I need to make here to make it look like a good enough underwater scene, and make it interesting and calming and relaxing and all the rest of it. So in the next video, what we'll look at is actually saving, animating this sprite slightly more, and then exporting it so other students can use this in their own fish tank.